The mechanic in the forbidden zone. The sky burned orange as Jace's ship fell toward the unknown jungle moon. Alarms screamed. Lights flashed red. His small shuttle had taken a hit during a meteor storm, and now the engines were gone. He gritted his teeth and fought the controls, trying to land safely. The crash wasn't gentle. Trees snapped. The ship skidded across wet soil, sparks flying, metal screaming. Then silence. Jace groaned, lifting himself from the cracked floor. Blood dripped from a cut on his forehead. Outside, strange bird-like creatures screeched. The jungle was thick, glowing with bioluminescent plants. Steam hissed from the engine. "I need to fix this," Jace muttered. He stepped outside, tools in hand. His training as a star mechanic was the only thing keeping him calm. He didn't know the name of this moon. It wasn't on any map. But one thing was clear. It was alive, watching. Hours passed as he repaired what he could. Sweat covered his skin. He was kneeling beside the engine when a deep growl made him freeze. Slowly, he looked up. Just beyond the trees, something large moved. Then it stepped into the light. A massive albino wolf, its fur shining white, its eyes glowing pale blue. It was the most majestic creature he had ever seen. Taller than a man, with a powerful frame and long claws, it stared at Jace. He didn't move. The wolf didn't attack. It just watched. "Hey there," Jace said softly, raising his hands. "Easy, I'm not here to hurt you." The wolf stepped forward. Jace didn't breathe. One more step, then another. The beast stopped only a few feet away. And then it sat down. Jace blinked. What the hell? The albino wolf tilted its head, as if curious. Far above, hidden in the canopy, two alien scouts watched through lenses. They couldn't believe their eyes. The sacred guardian, protector of the royal house of Velexer, had never obeyed anyone outside the bloodline. They sent a message to the palace. In the towering crystal palace of Velexer, the alien queen stood before a wall of glowing symbols. She was tall, with silver blue skin, long tendrils of hair, and violet eyes. Her expression turned cold as she read the report. "A human," she whispered, "in the forbidden zone. And the guardian does not strike him down?" A royal advisor trembled nearby. "It follows him, my queen." The queen's hands curled into fists. "Bring him to me, now." Back in the jungle, Jace sat beside the albino wolf. He dared not touch it, but the creature seemed content, even protective. It growled at approaching sounds, only to stop when Jace held up his hand. He didn't notice the shadows moving behind him. Suddenly, blue light flashed. He was surrounded by armored alien guards. Their weapons glowed, and their eyes were cold. "Hey, I'm not." One guard struck him across the back of the head. Darkness. He woke up in a glowing prison cell. Strange symbols lined the walls. His head ached. Outside the bars, alien guards stood silent. But more shocking, the albino wolf was there, lying just outside his cell, calm as ever. "What are you?" Jace whispered. Moments later, the doors opened. A group of guards entered, followed by the alien queen herself. Her presence filled the room like thunder. She walked with elegance and power, her golden robe flowing behind her. Jace stood slowly. She stared at him, unblinking. "What did you do to my wolf?" "Nothing," Jace said, confused. "It found me, that's all." The queen turned her eyes to the creature. "That beast answers to no one but the royal bloodline. You are not one of us. I'm a mechanic. I crashed here. I just wanted to fix my ship. And yet the guardian follows you." She stepped closer. "This has never happened in 1,000 years. You will explain it." "I can't," Jace replied. The queen's eyes narrowed. "Then you will be tested." Before he could ask what that meant, she turned and left. The albino wolf looked at him through the bars. Its pale blue eyes didn't blink. Jace had no idea what was happening. Deep down, something told him. This was only the beginning. Jace woke again, but this time not in a cell. He was lying on a soft bed inside a moving cage made of glowing crystal bars. The floor hummed gently. Strange alien lights flickered on the walls. Outside the cage, too, guards in silver armor stood still, their weapons across their chests. They never looked at him. The cage was floating. It hovered down long hallways filled with colors Jace had never seen before. The architecture was smooth and bright, like it was grown, not built. Alien eyes stared at him from behind curtains and passageways. The albino wolf walked alongside the cage, silent, graceful, like a shadow with glowing eyes. No one could explain it, not even the aliens themselves. At the end of the hall, huge crystal doors opened. Jace's cage floated into the throne room. It was massive. Tall pillars stretched high above, covered in floating lights. On a raised platform stood the alien queen, draped in robes that shimmered like liquid gold. Her eyes, glowing violet, watched him like a hunter watching prey. Guards lined both sides of the room. Courtiers whispered. Priests with jeweled masks had frozen in shock. No outsider had ever entered the royal chamber, let alone under the Tunsa. Protection of the sacred wolf. The cage stopped. The queen raised a hand. The crystal bars vanished like mist. Jace stepped out slowly, his eyes never leaving the queen. He swallowed. I'm Jace, from Earth. I'm just a mechanic. She stepped down from her throne, her expression cold and proud. You are nothing, she said. And yet, the guardian walks with you, sleeps beside you. This is not possible. I didn't do anything. I was just fixing my engine. The albino wolf padded forward. With everyone watching, it stopped. Beside Jace, then before the entire royal court, it bowed its head beside him. Gasps filled the hall. The priests trembled. A noble fainted. Even the queen stepped back. The beast bows. She whispered. A priest in gold and green stepped forward. Your Majesty, there are old legends, long before the Empire, of a time when the guardian would bow not to blood, but to hands that restore broken things, the one who fixes. The queen's voice was sharp. A story for children. The priest lowered his head. Perhaps, but the beast remembers. The queen looked into Jace's eyes. Then let him be tested, publicly. Let all see whether this is a trick or truth. Later that night, Jace sat in a royal guest chamber. It was more like a golden prison. Guards outside, no windows. But soft food, a glowing bed, and quiet music. The wolf still sat outside his door, watching, protecting. Jace paced the floor. What? Are you really? He whispered toward the beast. Why me? No answer came. He sighed and looked at the tools they had returned to him. His belt, his old scanner. Nothing special, but something strange glowed at the edge of the scanner screen, a strange energy pulse near the wolf. He tapped buttons. The signal looked old, older than the shipwrecked jungle. Like it was from another time. The door opened. Young alien girl entered. She was a servant, but her face was curious, not afraid. I brought water, she said quietly. Thank you, Jace said. Sitting on the bed, she looked at the wolf. Do you know what it means, human? I'm still figuring that out. She stepped closer. The guardian only obeys the royal blood. But the old scrolls, they say that long ago someone came from the stars. A builder, a fixer. The beast followed him too. Jace looked confused. A human? No, someone like you, not from here, not from our sky. The elders erased it from teaching. And why tell me? She looked down. Because I think you are part of that story. She left quickly. Jace sat in silence, staring at the door. The next morning, trumpets echoed through the palace halls. The queen stood in ceremonial armor. The arena was full. Thousands of aliens shouted from high balconies. Jace was brought to the center. Alone, the queen's voice boomed. This human claims no power, yet the guardian bows to him. Today we test this truth. Let the beasts rise. Gate opened. Out came 3 massive creatures, black-skinned, tusked, with blazing red eyes. Each one growled and stomped toward him. Jace didn't run. The albino wolf appeared from another gate. Calm, silent, the beasts roared and charged toward Jace. The entire crowd leaned forward. Jace stood frozen. The wolf leaped. It smashed into the first beast, claws ripping. Then the second. Blood sprayed the arena floor. The third creature tried to bite Jace, but the wolf blocked it with its own body, taking the hit, then crushing the beast's neck with its jaws. The arena was dead silent. Jace fell to his knees. Breathing hard, the albino wolf stood over him, tail raised, eyes sharp. The queen stood, her face pale, her mouth tight. The prophecy was real, and the human might be more than just a mechanic. The arena floor was stained with dark blood. The albino wolf stood tall beside Jace, chest rising with heavy breaths. Its fur was streaked with wounds, but its eyes were calm, protective. Jace still couldn't believe it. All around them, thousands of aliens watched in stunned silence. The crowd had expected a massacre. Instead, they witnessed a miracle. The queen rose slowly from her high throne. Her golden armor shimmered in the sun, but her face was unreadable. Her voice rang across the arena. The beasts are dead, and the human still lives. A murmur spread through the stands. Jace stood shakily. His legs felt weak, but he met her gaze. The queen's violet eyes narrowed. You passed the first trial, human. But there are deeper questions now. I will not accept tricks or legends. If the guardian truly chose you, then prove it again. Before Jace could answer, she raised her hand. The arena floor began to shift. Stones cracked and moved. A part of the ground opened and lowered, revealing a dark chamber below. From the shadows rose a cage made of black bone and fire. Inside it crouched a new creature, twice the size of the last beasts. 6 eyes, horns, thick scales across its body. A chain around its neck, held by armored handlers. The death maw, whispered a voice from the crowd. Jace felt his stomach twist. The queen's voice echoed again. This creature has not been tamed. It fears nothing, not even fire. If your guardian truly serves you, then it will protect you from this. The crowd roared with excitement and fear. The gates opened. The handlers released the chains. The deathmaw charged forward with thunderous steps. Its jaws opened wide, showing layers of sharp teeth. Its roar shook the very walls of the arena. Jace didn't move. He had no weapon, no armor. Only the albino wolf beside him, and then it moved. Not in panic, but with purpose. The white beast sprinted toward the deathmaw, leaping higher than anyone thought possible. Its claws slashed across the beast's face, drawing blood. But the deathmaw was not like the others. It slammed the wolf hard into the ground. The crowd gasped. Jace shouted, "No!" But the wolf stood up again, bleeding, limping, still fighting. It charged once more, biting deep into the monster's neck. The deathmaw howled and shook its head, trying to throw the wolf off. Jace watched helplessly, his fists clenched. Every instinct told him to run, but he stepped forward. Instead, the arena fell silent again. He stood next to the fight. One wrong move, and he'd be crushed. The albino wolf saw him and growled. Not at him, but as a warning. The deathmaw turned its head and lunged toward Jace. The crowd screamed. But before the creature could reach him, the albino wolf leapt in front, taking the hit. The 2 beasts rolled across the floor, crashing into the walls. Dust filled the arena. Then silence. When the dust cleared, the deathmaw lay still, its throat torn open. The albino wolf, barely standing, walked back to Jace and sat beside him. Its head rested on his hand. The arena exploded with noise. The crowd screamed his name. Yeski! Yeski! Even the guards who once hated him now stared in awe. Above, the queen sat frozen. Her hand trembled. No spell, no trick, no weapon could have done what she just saw. The wolf had risked its life again, not for royalty, but for a simple human. She turned to her high priest. This is real, isn't it? The priest nodded slowly. The stars warned us, but we forgot. Later, in a private chamber deep within the palace, Jace sat on the floor beside the wounded wolf. Alien healers tended to it carefully, afraid to anger the beast. But it let them touch only because Jace was there. The queen entered silently. Her armor was gone. She wore a flowing blue robe, her face soft and thoughtful. You should be dead, she said calmly. Jace looked up. Maybe, but he wouldn't let that happen. She sat on a stone seat near him. In my people's history, she said, this guardian was raised by my ancestors to defend the royal line. No outsider, not even high generals, were ever allowed near it. It once tore apart a traitor, just for touching my father's cloak. And now it follows a guy with a wrench, Jay said, forcing a small laugh. She didn't smile. You are more than that. I'm just a mechanic. No, she said. You are something else. Something older. A memory returned. She stood. You will stay here. Not as a prisoner. Not anymore. Jace frowned. Then what am I? She looked back with a serious gaze. An answer we weren't ready for. Asterisk. The halls of the royal palace were silent after the trial. No music, no laughter. Even the nobles whispered behind curtains. The alien kingdom had seen something ancient awaken. A truth long buried was now walking among them in the form of a human mechanic. Jace didn't feel like a hero. He sat on a balcony, rubbing his greasy hands together. Below, alien healers continued to treat the wounded albino wolf. It now wore a glowing band around its leg to speed recovery. Despite its injuries, the beast still refused to leave Jace's side. He looked at the stars above. What am I doing here? He whispered. Footsteps echoed behind him. Jace turned to see an old alien with a long beard, made of silver threads. His eyes glowed softly behind a crystal mask. He held a thick scroll in both hands. I am Sevik, Master Archivist of Velexer, he said gently. Archivist? You're like a historian? Much more, Sevik replied. I keep what others choose to forget. He sat beside Jace and unrolled the scroll on the ground. It showed ancient drawings, strange machines, beasts, and stars. In the center, one symbol stood out, a man holding tools, with a great white beast bowing before him. That looks like me, Jace muttered. Sevik nodded. Thousands of years ago, a being came from beyond our stars. Not from your Earth, but another placeholder. He brought healing, machines, knowledge, and kindness. The guardian beast chose him, just like now. Jace shook his head. I don't believe in prophecies. Neither did we, Sevik said. Until you arrived. Deep under the palace, the queen walked through secret corridors with 2 guards and her chief priest. Torches lit the stone path. The air smelled of dust and age. They reached a locked chamber with golden markings. The queen placed her hand on a sensor. The door opened slowly with a deep rumble. Inside was a forgotten room round, with a black pillar in the center. The priest whispered, This is the Star Vault, forbidden for over 5 centuries. They stepped inside. On the walls were old carvings of the same man Sevik had shown Jace, the mechanic. The wolf, a star falling from the sky. Alien words wrapped around each image like vines. The queen stared at one specific carving, where the mechanic held out his hand and brought light back to a dying machine. The wolf knelt beside him. The queen turned to her priest. How could this be real? It was hidden because the idea scared the old kings. A stranger from beyond controlling our most sacred beast. It was called blasphemy. She touched the carving surface, and now it's here. Meanwhile, Jace followed Sevik down a hallway to a sealed library. The walls were lined with glowing scrolls and strange books. A robotic spider cleaned the shelves. Sevik pulled out one small device and handed it to Jace. This belonged to the first outsider. Jace tapped it. A hologram flickered to life. A message began to play, distorted, but still clear. If you're hearing this, you are not the first, the voice said. There is something in this place. Something powerful that listens to those who fix instead of destroy. The message ended. Jace's hand shook. He didn't understand all of it, but he felt something deep inside him stir. A strange connection, like a forgotten dream. Why me? He asked softly. Because some things must return, Sevik replied. And some wounds need human hands. That night, as the queen walked through her private garden, she saw a strange light rising from the trees. She followed it silently until she reached a tall metal gate. Beyond it stood Jace and the albino wolf, sitting beside an old alien statue. Jace turned when he heard her steps. I didn't mean to enter royal space, he said quickly. She held up a hand. It's all right. This was once my father's garden. I rarely come here. She sat across from him. The night air was cool. The stars above moved slowly. After a long silence, she spoke. When I was a child, I tried to touch the guardian. It bit me. Jace raised an eyebrow. Seriously? I still have the scar, she said, showing her wrist. But now it lets you ride beside it. I don't understand. Neither do I, he admitted. They both looked at the wolf, which lifted its head and blinked. I've seen broken engines, shattered circuits, machines others gave up on, Jace said. I always fix them. I didn't know that would mean anything here. It means everything, she whispered. You bring something we lost hope. He looked at her surprised. The queen of a proud, powerful alien race was admitting her people had forgotten hope. She stood. Tomorrow, I will show you something that no outsider has ever seen. What? The engine of Velexer. It powers the barrier that protects our world. It broke long ago. No one has been able to fix it, and you think I can? She smiled slightly. No, I think the Guardian thinks you can. Jace looked down at the wolf, who gave a slow, silent nod. At sunrise, the palace doors opened with loud echoes. Long banners fluttered in the wind as alien guards marched down a polished silver path. Behind them walked Queen Valexa, tall and elegant, her step steady, her mind racing. She wore no crown. Today only a simple robe of dark blue silk. Beside her was Jace, the human mechanic, rubbing sleep from his eyes. His tools clinked lightly at his belt. He had no idea what to expect. Ahead stood a mountain-like structure with ancient carvings and glowing lines running through its walls. At the base of it was a sealed door, round and black like an eye. This, the queen said, stopping, is the heart engine of Velexer. It once powered our sky shield, gave life to our crops, and even healed the sick. But it stopped. 500 years ago, Jay stared up at it. Why hasn't anyone fixed it? Because no one understands it, she replied. It was built by those who came before us. Not even our best minds could awaken it. She looked at him. So I give you the challenge. Fix if you can. If not, then your connection to the Guardian is just a strange accident. Jace took a slow breath. The albino wolf stood behind him, calm but alert. And what happens if I break something worse? He asked. Then the ground beneath us may open, the queen replied. But I believe the beast chose you for a reason. The heavy doors rumbled. As they opened, inside the chamber was massive, filled with spinning rings, broken wires, floating crystals, and rusted metal that sparkled like gold. Strange symbols pulsed faintly on the floor. It was like standing inside a machine built by stars. Jace's heart beat faster. He could feel it. The hum of forgotten power. Hours passed. The Queen sat on a high platform, watching silently with her advisors. Jace worked below, moving from one station to another. He pulled out wires, scanned strange circuits, and studied the patterns with furrowed brows. The albino wolf rested near a glowing core, its eyes following his every move. He whispered to himself constantly. These don't follow Earth rules, but they still follow logic. He used old Earth tools, alien devices, and even pieces of scrap from his broken ship. The room smelled of heated metal and static electricity. At one point, a blue spark jumped across the air. A ring began to spin. The Queen leaned forward, but then it stopped. Jace sighed and sat on the ground. All right, think like an alien, but fix it like a human. He remembered what Sevik, the old archivist, had said. Some wounds need human hands. Jace returned to the core. This time, instead of using tools, he used his bare fingers to trace the symbols. The core responded. A soft hum began to rise. One by one, lights came on. The spinning ring started to move again, slowly at first, then faster. Energy filled the room. Dust lifted into the air as magnetic force returned. Queen stood from her seat. Jace stepped back. The entire engine lit up with a soft white glow. Symbols danced in the air. A pulse shot upward, escaping through the ceiling. High above, alien cities lit up. The sky shield shimmered again for the first time in centuries. Crops on nearby farms stirred, as if suddenly healthier. Across the moon, machines that had long gone silent flickered to life. The Queen's mouth parted slightly. For the first time in her reign, she felt wonder. Jace wiped his forehead. That should hold for another few hundred years. The advisors whispered among themselves. How did he do it? Not magic, just skill. Maybe it is the prophecy. Later, in the Queen's private chamber, Jace stood before her. She poured 2 glasses of glowing liquid. This is for celebration, she said, handing him one. Jace smiled. It tastes like electricity. It is, she said, amused. You have done something no one could. The heart engine is alive. He nodded. I just saw what was broken and fixed it. She stepped closer. Do you understand what you've done? My people will speak of you for generations. Some already want to call you Starburn. I don't want a title. She looked into his eyes. Then what do you want? Jace thought about it. My ship working, a warm bed, maybe answers, and maybe to understand why that wolf follows me like a friend. She smiled gently. Then we are the same. I also seek answers. The albino wolf entered the room quietly. It walked to Jace, circled him, then lay at his feet. The Queen watched the bond in silence. We have enemies, she said after a pause. There are those who do not want a human in our palace. They fear change. They fear prophecy. Jace nodded. Let them fear. I came to fix a ship, not break a kingdom. But you may have changed it already, she whispered. Outside the chamber, shadows gathered. Not everyone celebrated the mechanic's success. Some plotted in silence. The palace of Velexer glowed brighter than ever. Floating lights lit every hall. Machines that hadn't worked for generations were alive again. Dancers filled the courtyards. Children ran laughing through gardens once silent, all because a human had touched the ancient heart engine. But in the darkest corners of the palace, far below the celebration, there was no laughter. Only whispers. General Varn, tall and cold, stood inside a shadowed chamber with 5 other high-ranking nobles. His armor was dark red, his expression like stone. This outsider, he said slowly, has turned our queen into a dreamer. She forgets who we are. Another noble nodded. Our ancestors ruled the stars. We did not kneel to strangers. A third hissed. He walks freely. He speaks to the queen alone. He controls the guardian beast. Soon, he will control her. Varn's voice grew sharp. We cannot allow this. He opened his palm. Inside it was a crystal dagger black, humming with poison. Tonight, he said. The prophecy ends. Jace stood on the palace balcony, watching the stars. The albino wolf rested at his feet, calm but alert. He had been given new clothes, simple but royal. His tools were cleaned and returned to him. Servants nodded with respect now. Even children waved when he passed. But something still felt wrong. His human instincts whispered danger. He crouched beside the wolf and rubbed its fur. You feel it, too, don't you? The wolf's ears twitched suddenly. The door behind them opened. A servant rushed in, out of breath. Sir Jace. The queen has collapsed. You must come quickly. Jace's heart jumped. He ran through the palace corridors, the wolf at his side. As he reached the queen's private chamber, 2 guards stepped aside. Inside, Queen Valexa lay on the floor, gasping. Her skin pale. A cup was spilled beside her. Purple liquid soaked the floor. She was drinking with the High Council, said one of the guards. Then she fell. Jace rushed forward, checking her pulse. She's been poisoned. The albino wolf growled, sniffing the spilled drink, then the air. Jace looked at the guards. Get me a scanner. Now. They hesitated, unsure. Now, he shouted. The wolf bared its teeth. That was enough. One ran to fetch the device. Valexa's eyes fluttered open. They tried to. Don't speak, Jace said. I've got you. The scanner arrived. Jace held it over her body. The screen glowed red nerve toxin. Fast-acting, cruel, but treatable if caught in time. He opened his tool belt and pulled out an old human stim patch. Not made for aliens, but maybe it would buy time. This is gonna sting, he whispered, slapping it on her shoulder. She gasped. Then her breathing slowed. He turned to the guards. Seal the palace. No one in or out. Whoever did this is still inside. In the shadows, General Varn moved through secret tunnels, his cloak hiding his face. He had another blade. The first dose had failed, but he wouldn't fail twice. He reached a small garden behind the queen's chamber, but the moment he stepped into the moonlight, the albino wolf was waiting. It leapt from the dark, crashing into him. Varn drew his blade, slicing. The beast sighed, but the wolf didn't stop. It howled, loud and furious. Jace came running. No! He grabbed a long metal rod from the ground and struck Varn's hand. The blade clattered away. Varn rolled to his feet, eyes burning with hate. You don't belong here, he shouted. You're a virus, a ghost from a dead story. I'm a mechanic, Jace said. I fix what's broken. They fought. Varn was stronger trained, but Jace was faster, smarter. He used tools, wires, even a garden torch as a weapon. The fight was dirty, brutal. The wolf lunged again, biting Varn's leg. Jace grabbed the poison dagger and held it to Varn's throat. It's over. Guards arrived, weapons drawn. Varn hissed. You think she thank you? You've already changed everything. She changed too, Jace said, because someone showed her hope. The guards dragged Varn away, still shouting curses. Later that night, Jace sat beside Queen Valexa's bed. Her color had returned. The stim patch had worked, but she still looked weak. She opened her eyes. You saved me. You've done the same for your people, he said softly. I just returned the favor. The albino wolf lay nearby, its wound cleaned and wrapped. Valexa reached out, her fingers brushing Jace's hand. There will be others, she whispered. More like him, I know, Jace said. But next time we'll be ready. She smiled faintly. I thought you were just a mechanic. He shrugged. I am, just with a very loyal wolf. Across the stars, ancient machines flickered, to life sensing the pulse of the reawakened engine of Valexa. Somewhere in the deep, others began to stir. The old stories, We're not finished yet. The grand courtyard of the palace was full. Thousands of aliens, nobles, warriors, farmers, children stood in silence as the queen stepped onto the high balcony. Her robe flowed gently in the wind. Though her face was calm, her eyes searched the crowd below. Behind her stood royal guards, her trusted priest, and beside them Jace, the human mechanic who had saved her life. The albino wolf stood at his side, tall and silent, its white fur glowing in the sun. Jace looked around, confused. "Why are we up here?" The queen gave a small smile. "Because history demands it." She raised her hand. A soft hum rolled through the air. Crystal banners unfurled. Music began to play, ancient music that had not echoed through the capital in hundreds of years. "This is the ceremony of the beast," she whispered to Jace. "It has not been performed in generations." "What does it mean?" She turned to him. "It means the Guardian has chosen its final bond. It means we bow." Jace frowned. "Wait, you're not serious." But she was. She stepped to the edge of the balcony and raised her voice. "People of Velexer, you have seen with your own eyes the truth that was buried. The Guardian has chosen not a royal, not a warrior, not a conqueror, but a fixer, a man from the stars, a human." The crowd stood stunned. Some say he is a legend reborn. Some say he is only a man. I say this, he is both. Because he reminded us of who we were meant to be. She turned Dot, and then she bowed. Dot, the queen of Velexer, ruler of 1,000 cities, lowered herself before Jace. Gasps filled the air. One by one, the nobles behind her followed. The guards knelt. The priests lowered their heads. Across the courtyard, the entire crowd bent their knees. Jace stood frozen. The albino wolf stepped forward and let out a deep, echoing howl. The sound rolled over the walls, across the mountains, and into the sky. Jace's voice was quiet. "I didn't come here for this." The queen stood again. "And that is why it must be you." Later that evening, in a quieter chamber, the queen and Jace sat beneath a tree that glowed with gentle blue light. The palace celebration still echoed in the distance, but here it was peaceful. "I should go," Jace said finally. She looked up. "Go where?" He gave a tired smile. "Back to my ship. Back to fixing small engines and replacing fuses. I'm not built for palaces and prophecy." "You could stay." "I could," he said. "But I've seen too much to sit on a throne. I'm a traveler. I just happened to land where I was needed." She nodded slowly, though her eyes were sad. "And the wolf?" she asked. They looked over. The Guardian stood near the garden wall, watching fireflies, calm and proud. Jace called softly. "Hey buddy, you coming?" The albino wolf turned its head. Then, without sound, it walked over and sat beside him. The queen gave a soft laugh. "Of course." He looked at her one last time. "If you ever need something fixed again, you know who to call." "I do," she said gently. "But I hope next time it's only a visit." By morning, the old ship was ready. The Velexari had repaired it using both their tech and Jace's own tools. It looked rough but stronger than before. Jace stood at the base of the ramp. He looked back. The queen waited at the edge of the landing field. Behind her stood the palace, shining in the early sun. She raised a hand. He raised his. Then, without another word, he stepped inside. The albino wolf followed and took its place beside the pilot's seat. As the ship lifted into the sky, the people of Velexer watched from rooftops, hills, and towers. No one cheered. No one shouted. They simply watched the man and the beast vanish into the stars, far across the galaxy. New systems flickered on. Doors long locked began to hum. Machines hidden deep within alien moons awoke. The memory of the Guardian's bond echoed through time. A mechanic had come. And hope had returned.